Now first we start with an interactive command prompt using administrative mode. The first thing I would like to do is go to my demos directory, which is on my X drive. Here I can list out the demo folders, and we will go to demo 1.2.4. Here you can see that in this folder I have a commands file that contains all the commands that I will execute, a Docker file and an index file that I will use later in the demo. When I do a Docker PS, you see that there are no containers running at the moment. And when I do a Docker PS -a, you can see that there is still one container that has exited that has the identifier 61E. Now the way we can build container images is by using the commit command. So I'm issuing here docker commit, and then I'm going to pass it in an identifier to identify the exited image that I'm interested in. Next, I will pass it in the name of the image that I would like to be in the repository. The moment I issue this command, then you will see that I get a SHA hash 430 and a bit. And now you can see that my new image is available, tagged as latest. And you see that is again 4302 and a bit as the image hash. I can now do a docker run -interactive, use the name of my image, which is my new image, and again pass it in command, and now it will start my image as the container image. When I'm back here in my container, you can see the demo folder that I created in the previous demos, and you can then see that the text file is there, and you see that the text in the text file is preserved as well. So now this was the first way of creating a Docker image. You see now that when I do a Docker PS, the container is exited, and you see multiple images now on the machine that it exited. Now there's a second way of building Docker containers. So let me go back to my X drive and there to the demo 124 folder. And here you see that I have a Docker file. Now let us open up the Docker file with Notepad and show what's in there. In the Docker file you can see that I'm running something from Microsoft IIS, which is the base image that I would like to use. You can find these base images by doing a Docker search. Here you can see that this Docker image is coming from the Docker Hub and can be pulled down to my machine. And this is now used to initiate a build command later on. Now the next thing that I would like to do is in my container, I will set the working directory to inetpub www root. I'm going to add a file index.html which can be found in my local folder. So when I issue now a command docker build -t for the tag that I would like to give it, my custom IIS, then I need to pass it in the context in which it needs to build, which is my local folder, which is the dot. Now you see that Docker is building the image and it's adding the files to the base image. You can now find the image under my custom IIS, and I can run this now by using docker run. So when I do a docker -d for pushing it to the background, so I get my command prompt back, I'm going to do the port mapping 8080. And then I would like to use my custom IIS as the image name that needs to be started. I think I forgot the run command here, so add that as well. So docker run. You see now that it's started, and I can now access this image which is already running IIS by doing a docker PS where I can see that it's running. You can see that it's running service monitor as the process. And I can do a docker exec to execute a command in the running container. So I'm going to use an interactive prompt again. I'm going to pass it in the identifier 9c, and I'm going to run a command line. And you see that I'm in my www root folder, which is the working directory. And here you can see that I have an index.htm, which I can type out, which is just a plain HTML file that I created and added to the Docker container. Now I exited the container. When I do a PS, you can see again that it's still running. And what I can do next is say, okay, I would like to see this actually in action. So I'm going to do a docker inspect. I'm going to pass in the 9c as the identifier, and then you see the IP address that I can go to and browse to see if my new file is shown as the default file. So here I paste in the IP address, and here you see that I'm now on my HTML page, which is running in my custom Docker IIS image that I created by using a docker build command.